Hey everybody, this is Andrew with MMA Sucker. With us, we have Shanelle Dyer, who will be taking on Mariam Torchinava at Newcastle, England, at PFL Europe 2 2024 regular season, June 8th. And you can catch the show on DAZN. Shanelle, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Let's learn a little bit about you for people who may not be familiar with you. How did you get into this crazy sport?
Yeah, so I started martial arts when I was about 9 years old. The area that I grew up with wasn't the best area. London is notorious for knife crime, and I kind of grew up around the estate. So I was always surrounded by people doing not the right things. So my dad, he used to always put me and my siblings. I have five siblings into sport. I did everything. I did swimming, running. I even did like ballet, street dance, but nothing stuck until I started martial arts. And I just loved the discipline and martial arts. And I just fell in love with the sport. So I started martial arts when I was about 9 years old, and that was Muay Thai and kickboxing. And I done Muay Thai and kickboxing until I was about 18 years old. And around that time, there wasn't a lot of money in Muay Thai, and I knew for a fact that I didn't want to work a 9 to 5 job. All I wanted to do in life was fight, and you couldn't really do that in Muay Thai. So it was either to go to boxing or MMA, and I like kicking too much to be a boxer, so I chose MMA.
Gotcha. I'm curious, I've been to London about half a dozen times. Is this East London you're talking about? Or
No,
South?
I live in West London.
Oh, okay. I've never been to West London. So
Yeah,
I didn't know that there was actually a part of London that's considered I guess not posh, as
yeah,
British would
yeah, yeah.
say.
There's like different pockets. There's different pockets, but you have to try and find it.
Gotcha. So I know you had a long amateur career. I'm curious, a lot of fighters, uh, at least in the US, they usually try to do like five, six-ish fights, but you had over almost close to a dozen, maybe even more amateur
Yeah.
fights. Was that a conscious thing on your part to have, or was that just how the scene was before you decided to go pro?
I started MMA when I was about 17 years old, so I had ages, just to bang out fights, just to gain the experience. So there was no rush in my part. I started quite young, MMA, and I would take it was all about experience. So I would take every single fight. I fought from 115 pounds to like 130 pounds, and I fought anyone. Like I didn't say no to anyone. I fought IMF world champion in my third fight, like champions in my second fight, and it was just experience at the end of the day. Like win, lose or draw, I was just there to fight the best fighters. So when I do turn pro, that I fought great wrestlers already. I fought great strikers already, great grapplers already. So there was no surprise when I turned pro. So I tried to get as much amateur experience as possible, and I turned pro when I was 21.
And you train at Great Britain top team under Brad Pickett.
Yeah,
Tell us what's the environment like in that gym? I'm curious to know what is he like as a coach.
yeah. So Great Britain top team is fairly new gym, to be fair. It just opened about 2 years ago. But Brad Pickett, he's a legend in his sense. Like he's been around the game for ages, became number 4 ranked in the UFC. So he's been there, done that, and having his expertise in my corner and in the gym every day, it's like a cheat code. It's basically a dictionary. Every day I'll go up to him, ask him about this move or that move, and he'll always answer, "Oh, I did this in my fight, or this worked against this opponent." So everything he does is from experience, and his knowledge is so vast. So I always feel safe having him in my corner. We have so much great fighters at GB Top Team. We have Nathaniel Woods, we have Mark DeCasey fight from GB Top Team as well. So every time I walk through the doors, I get inspired by every single one of the fighters.
Hmm. I also am always interested to hear the stories of fighter nicknames. Nightmare is your
Yeah,
nickname. How did you get that nickname?
because I give everyone nightmares. Like, no, it's actually quite a sad story to be fair. When I started MMA, I had like an older brother figure in the gym, and he would always guide me. And he was one of the biggest prospects in the UK scene, but unfortunately, he got stabbed to death. When I was 19 years old, and it was at his birthday party, and I was at his birthday party as well. And his nickname was the Nightmare. And we had the same dream, like we both wanted to be world champions and be the best fighters in the world. So he didn't get to live out his dream. So I took that on upon myself to live off both of our dreams together.
I got you. Well, first of all, my condolences. I don't know how long
Yeah,
ago it happened, but my sincere condolences
yeah.
for his passing. So speaking of one, be the best, being world champion. Let's talk about your fight, PFL Europe 2, Mariam Torchinava. What can you tell us about her? Do you look at tape, or do you have your coaches look at that? And if you have watched, what do you think about her as a fighter?
I try to keep a lot of the tape talk, watching to my coaches. I don't really like to focus a lot of my training camp around my opponent because you don't know what they're doing in their camps. And I like to strengthen my strength and strengthen my weaknesses in my camps. Focus a lot about myself. But I watched a little bit to see what she's kind of about. I know she's a pure grappler. Like her topology says that she has a lot of submissions in her record, and she wins a lot of her fights by being a grappler, but like a jiu-jitsu grappler, and this is MMA, so it's quite different. I saw her last fight. I think she grappled and she like pulled guard. Like you can't be pulling guard in an MMA fight because against a fight like me, I was just get on top position and start raining down shots. I don't think she has no striking, whereas my striking is really good. I don't think she has great wrestling as well, so I don't think she actually has the means to get me into those grappling positions. But I'm pretty confident wherever the fight goes. Confident in my grappling. I'm a high level purple, but I compete in jiu-jitsu on the sides as well. My striking is really good, so I'm confident wherever the fight goes.
Hmm. And it's interesting that in your first PFL fight, that was the first fight of your career that go to a
Yeah.
decision. Is that a conscious? But before that, has it always been in your mind to get that first round finish, or were you kind of, in addition to that, were you also maybe kind of happy that it did go to decision because you got to kind of see and feel the full extent of how you are as a fighter?
A bit of both. My first two professional fights finished quite quick. So I don't really get that experience. And I'm happy in the sense that I got that 50 minutes experience. And I got to show people that I can actually fight. I'm not just swinging my hands around and hopefully fighting for a KO. No, I can actually win a fight comfortably. And it's great to have 50 minutes of cage time as well. I think that fight was my opponent, my original opponent pulled out 10 days before, and I went from fighting a orthodox grappler to a southpaw striker. So it was like all hectic fight week. My coach was trying to teach me southpaw stuff. And I was like, you know what? All I'm gonna do in this fight is right body kick, left low kick, and jab. And that's what I've done. That's how I won the fight. I tried to get her out the fight, but she had such a hard head. I hit her so hard, like flying knee, I head kicked her clean, through like I put her so clean with like right hands, but she just didn't want to go down. So fair play on her. She stuck to the end. So yeah,
Mm,
happy got the win regardless. The win's the most important thing.
gotcha, gotcha. So this is, if I'm correct, this is part of the PFL tournament, right? The Europe tournament.
Yeah.
Have you looked at the other brackets of the other opponents, who you might potentially face?
Funny thing about the tournament, like I literally know every single person in the roster in my bracket other than my opponent. So they gave me the one person I knew like literally nothing about. Everyone else I either saw them fight before or I've actually trained and sparred with them before. It's the whole bracket is interesting. But I believe my chances is really high. I'm comfortable. Whoever I fight in the tournament, and I believe I'll come up with the win. Against anyone in the tournament, it should be quite easy to be fair.
And so, without not asking your game plan, but how do you see this fight going in your favor?
I think my striking would be too much for her. I don't think she would end up landing anything on me. She's quite a defensive striker. And if she does try to strike, she'll try to counter strike or she'll end up rushing in. But I think after I throw a couple of hard shots, she'll start panicking. She'll try to start panic shooting, and that's when I'll land clean on her.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. And so, I know it's early in the year, but let's say you win this entire tournament. Do you have any do you have any goals for how you want your 2025 MMA career to go?
Yeah, so obviously my plan 2024 is I'm gonna win the European League, and then next year I'm gonna go over to America and do the same thing in the American League. There's gonna be better fighters in America, but that's what I want. I want the hardest fights. I want to prove that I am one of the best fighters, if not the best fighter in the world, and that's what I'm gonna do in the American League. next year. This year is just a warm up. Next year is where it really starts.
Gotcha. Have you decided how long you want to do martial arts? I know you're still young in career,
Yeah.
you're in your 20s, but I know that some people sometimes say like, oh, I'm gonna do this till my 30s, I'm gonna do this
Yeah.
till 25, or until I get a championship. Do you have is there any sort of end goal like that where like you might decide
If
I
you
might stop this?
if you give me 5 mil, I'm gonna disappear. No one's ever gonna find me again. That'll be 2 years, 3 years, or 10 years. That's me gone. I'll buy an island in Thailand, and that's me done for the rest of my year. So
That's
yeah, I love martial arts. Like, and it's my favorite sport in the whole world. It's my favorite thing in the whole world. It's not just a job for me. It's my hobby. Like, second I go home, I'm not watching TV. I'm not watching Netflix. I'm watching fights. I'm watching fight documentaries. Like, I'm obsessed with the sport. I love it. So I want to do it as long as possible, as long as my body is able me to do it. I want to do that. And maybe not just MMA. I might retire MMA a bit earlier if I achieve all my goals and makes a lot of money. I want to dive into other things. I want to do like WWE and like even go back to Muay Thai and do like super fights, even boxing fights. That'll be exciting. So I want to still dip my toes into combat sports and those type of areas after the sport.
Not directly related to Muay Thai, but kind of directly related to kickboxing. Would you entertain the idea of doing I don't know, K1 now? K1's now expanding and they've got women's division. I don't know if in your weight class, but maybe they'll do it in the future. Yeah, was that something you would want to do? Is like something for K1 or Glory one these days?
Yeah, definitely. I think that one of my dreams when I was younger was to fight for glory. Like, before I even like had the thought of doing MMA, I was like, I wanted to be glory champion. So that was one of my goals. So definitely I'll be 100% interested in that big fights. That's what I want.
I'm curious to know, have you ever been to Bangkok, Phuket? Have you ever trained in Thailand?
I've been Phuket. I've been Phuket twice actually. I went when I was 18 years old. I actually got a sponsorship to AKA Thailand. I was meant to stay there for a whole year. What actually happened? I stayed there for about 2 months by myself. Like, my dad, he dropped me there, spent 5 days there, and I stayed there by myself for 2 months. And I came back to do a fight. Unfortunately, I lost the fight, and that's when COVID happened. So COVID closed all the borders. So I basically got stranded home with half my stuff still in Thailand. I wasn't allowed back, and all of COVID happened, and my stuff is still in Thailand. I didn't get the chance to go back. But I actually went back Thailand last December/January. So I took like a 3-4 year break, and I went back to Thailand. Thailand's like one of the best places, if not the best places in the whole world. Like, everyone there is so happy, so free. Everyone's in the same mindset. The training is amazing, and that's what I want. I went there in December as a holiday. I had such a long year last year. I had 4 fights, plus I fought in Polaris. So I just wanted like a nice relaxing holiday. But then I trained every single day because the training was that great in Bangkok. All I did was sleep, go to the beach and train. That's paradise to me.
I'm curious to know. So you probably talked to some of the Thai fighters there. What do you think when you see that, like, oh, this Thai fighter is like only 16 or 17 and they have like 100 fights already on their record? What do you think about that?
That's amazing. Like, it's a different culture in Thailand. Because they start fighting when they're like 5, 6 years old. Because they fight to provide for their family, so they have to fight. Not just they do it for love, because they have to fight to survive basically. But it really it bestows discipline onto the children as well, and they love it. You can see the 16, 17 year olds. They love it. They love fighting. So and I've fought a lot of Muay Thai, so I really love Muay Thai.
Mm-hmm. For people that will be seeing you for the first time at PFL Europe too, what can you tell people that they can most look forward to in your fight?
An exciting fight. Like, I don't think I've ever been in a boring fight. I've never been in a boring fight. Every time I fight, there's always a sick highlight reel. Something I do is amazing. Could be the celebration after, or I did like a jumping knee, or some like the head kick. Like, every single fight I do is exciting. I try to make it exciting fights because, as I said before, I'm a huge fan of the sport. I'll pay £100 to watch fights, and if it's a boring fight, so I'm the first one to be booing. And I don't want people to be doing the watching my fights. I want it to be exciting. And if the fans are are happy watching my fights, that means I'm happy in my fights, and that means I'm winning the fight.
Gotcha, gotcha. Before you go, I just want to give you an opportunity to plug your sponsors, your gym, coaches, or anybody else you want to give a shout out to.
Yeah, so shout out my coaches, Brad Pickett at Scrimshaw, Chris Knowles and Barry Healy, my James GB top team, and the Knowles Academy. Shout out my sponsors, Vigorate, Scramble, Fly, and anyone I might have missed out. I'm sorry. So yeah, tune in June 8th. It's on DAZN PFL Europe. I'm here to take over.
Before you go though, since you did say that you might have interest in WWE, I want you to give your best Shanelle the Nightmare Dyer promo against your opponents.
Against my opponent.
Yeah, I want to hear. I want to hear. I want you know. I want to I want to hear like a WWE type promo. If you if you can do one, if you feel like doing one.
Nothing's coming to my head. Nothing's coming to you. Do one. You do one for me.
One. Okay, everybody. You know what? We got Shanelle Dyer here, and after June 8th, you're gonna see Shanelle Dyer take over 2024. Okay. Sorry, I'm forgetting your opponent's name already. Mariam Torchinava, you sorry, I'm starting to get nervous now. Sorry. You better come ready because I'm ready to put on a fight. I can't believe I just did that for you. Oh, oh, did I just lose you?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Were you able to hear my promo for you?
No, I didn't hear it.
Oh my God! I did a whole thing where like, you better 2024 is Shanelle Dyer's year. Mariam Torchinava, you better come ready because we're gonna put on an exciting fight.
Yeah, come on.
Okay, and you can check out Shanelle Dyer taking on Mariam Torchinava June 8th, PFL Europe 2, available on DAZN. And Shanelle, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Really looking forward to the fight. And yeah, I hope the rest of your 2024 is a very successful one.
Good, thank you. Bye.
Oh, take care.